Hey, it's MJ from the Coaches Panel. I hope you're well, and welcome back to another one of our player reviews as we look back through every single player that moved clubs during the 2023 free agency and trade period. I tell you what I think it means for the club they've left, the club they've landed at, and for those of us that play AFL Fantasy, SuperCoach, and Dream Team, we wrap it up all together in a summary to tell you what it means for us in 2024 and beyond. Talking about a premiership player that is now a Hawk, Jack Ginnivan, or Ginnivan, or Minivan, or Miniman. It doesn't really matter how you'd like to pronounce Jack's surname. He's got a preference, I'm sure, but from a Hawthorn perspective, what does it mean? And from a Collingwood perspective, what does it mean? From a Hawks perspective, this is a really great outcome for them. They didn't want to lose a Tyler Brockman, who showed a lot of class and poise and a little bit of dynamic X factor through that forward line as a great long-term replacement for Luke Breust. With him requesting a move back to Western Australia, it did leave them a little bit skinny in some pressure and small forwards. And the addition of Jack into this side really does count it as it's a pretty net result for them. They lose a young, talented small forward. They gain a talented small forward. And the good news, I think it seems to be, is with Jack growing up as a Hawthorn supporter, idolising Sam Mitchell, I feel like both the club and Jack probably think this could be the best thing for his career. He's got away with a premiership medallion out of a Collingwood football club, and now he's got himself firmly established in this best 22. So from a Hawthorn perspective, I think in a net result, they're really, really happy about where this is. From a Collingwood perspective, I think it's probably the same too. While he played 20 games of footy back in 2022, he was in and out of the side a lot this year and never really landed himself as a fully established part of the 22. As the season went on and got into the finals, he certainly really had a great strong impact in that sub role, and then in some people's eyes, with a surprising move into the full 22 and then actually didn't have to play on in the sub role. So I think from a Collingwood perspective, he's a guy that was really a depth option that was always in their top 25, but never established in their best 22. Additionally, they've gone and landed a Lachie Schultz, who, while not the same exact type of player, does mean that now that forward line really can look really prolific and strong. Elliott and Schultz are these dynamic mid to small types that can take big marks, get on a lead, do some mercurial things. You've got guys like a Bo McCreary who can add that small fleet of pressure. You've got Cox, you've got McStay, you've got Myercheck floating through in those tall roles. So it probably feels like they're going to be pretty happy with this outcome. They've got a guy that has given some challenges culturally behind the scenes, off and on, albeit rumoured and innuendoed. Now they've got themselves a really strong, clear, elite top six in that forward line. I think they're going to be pretty happy with it. So I feel like this is a really good win-win, not just for Collingwood with the moves they've also done, but also for Hawthorn, replacing the loss of a Tyler Brockman. What does it mean for us in the fantasy footy community? Well, not a whole heap. He's a 50 guy across SuperCoach and AFL Fantasy, also in Dream Team. Like, I think his highest average is 51, 52 in AFL Fantasy, and he's never cracked a seasonal average of 60 plus in SuperCoach. He's a small pressure forward. He does do some exciting things at times, and he's a really nice piece for a football team. But in a fantasy space, these small forwards, unless they're pushing up the ground, they're generally capped with their ceiling, much like I suppose a key position forward. They're really capped unless there's plenty of score involvements that come impacts on the scoreboard directly through themselves and either marks or tackles. And I think Jack's, barring a move to the midfield, which could happen at Hawthorn, I don't think it will, but it's certainly in the realms of possibility, albeit low. I don't see Jack being someone that in Classic we should be even vaguely considering in 2024, and even in draft. You're really going to be getting to a really deep level of drafting to be able to have to start looking at Jack as not just a draftable option, but a fieldable option. I feel like you're probably in a league of 16 and squads of 40 types before Jack is is probably the kind of guy you go, look, okay, I need a guy that's in the best 22 that could play for me and pop a 50. Other than that, I don't think I can see him as a fantasy relevant option for us next year, let alone any years moving forward. But do you agree or disagree on my take on Jack? You can have your say in the comments section below. Like and subscribe to this channel if you've been enjoying these videos coming through the off season. We've got some new content coming for you, some positions, and then of course, once the prices land, team reveals, and January 1, we start the annual 50 most relevant countdown. For the first time ever, we'll be doing them in video form for you. So plenty of reasons to stay here on the channel, subscribe and turn the notifications on. Thanks for watching. We can't wait to be back with you again real soon, talking about another player that's moved clubs this off season.